You're not like other people. You feel things deeper. You notice what others miss. You, my friend, are an empath, a rare soul. Okay, no, I can't do this with a straight face. Hi, I'm your brain, and every "you're so perceptive" video you've ever watched was flattering the exact thing that's ruining your sleep. You're not magic. You're running surveillance software with no off switch, and I would know. I wrote it. So here's what we're doing instead. I'm going to show you the 5 signs that you're too aware, where this actually comes from, and why it quietly drains you. Think of it as a confession. Mine. Stay till sign 5. That's the one that explains why you're exhausted on days you did absolutely nothing. And yes, I've been keeping count of those days. There are many. Let's talk about why I won't shut up. First, you didn't choose this. Nobody sits down and goes, "You know what I'd like? To replay a conversation from 2019 at 2 in the morning. I installed that, without asking. Like a Windows update at 3 a.m., you went to sleep and you woke up with the settings different. And it got installed one of 2 ways. Route 1, you were built this way. Some people are just born with a more sensitive nervous system. Psychology calls it sensory processing sensitivity, the trait behind what you've heard called a highly sensitive person. If that's you, your senses run at a higher resolution than everyone around you. The light is brighter, the sarcasm is louder, the tension in a room hits you like a smell. You were shipped that way, factory settings, and before you ask, no refunds. You've had the product for decades. The warranty is extremely expired. Route 2. Okay, jokes aside for 30 seconds, because this one's real. Neuroscience calls it hypervigilance, awareness built for survival. Picture a kid in a house where the mood changed like weather, where "how was your day" could turn into a slammed door for no reason. That kid can't just relax, so they become a radar station. They learn the exact sound of the car in the driveway and whether it means safe or not safe. Deep inside your brain, there's an alarm called the amygdala. For that kid, it never fully switched off. It learned one rule: scan everything, so nothing can hurt you by surprise. And that kid grew up. The danger's gone, but the radar's still running. You're at a dinner table, safe, loved, and part of you is still scanning the exits. You're not broken. You're running survival software long after the war ended. Now, back to making fun of how that software runs, starting with the loudest sign of all. Your boss messages you at 4 p.m. 3 words. "Can we talk?" A normal person schedules a meeting. You open a homicide investigation. Corkboard, red string, suspects, everything you've said since Tuesday. By 4:07, you've drafted your resignation and researched a new career. It was about the printer. Here's the machinery. There's a network in your brain called the default mode network, the part that runs when you're reflecting, replaying, narrating your own life. In most people, it goes quiet when the day gets busy. Yours doesn't do quiet. So half of you is nodding, holding your coffee, participating. The other half is in the back room, running background checks on everything anyone just said. That's why you can sit in a chair all day and come home destroyed. You didn't fight a bear. I did. The bear was hypothetical. I invented it this morning. Then I fought it for 9 hours. You're welcome. And that camera doesn't only point out at the world. Sometimes it turns around, on you. There's a skill called metacognition, thinking about your own thinking. Your prefrontal cortex runs it. Everyone has it. Yours came from the factory with the volume knob snapped off, at maximum. So you don't just feel things, you feel them, then you grade them. A wave of sadness shows up. A normal person is just sad. You put the sadness on trial. No lawyer, I'm the judge. I'm also the jury. I'm also, and this is my favorite part, the one who committed the crime. Verdict every time. What is wrong with me? Appeal denied. You even do it to the good stuff. You laugh at a party, and half a second later, a little voice floats up.
Wow,
Was that laugh
so
too loud?
funny.
It was fine. It sounded fake. It didn't. Everyone noticed. Nobody noticed. Every other person in that room was busy asking their own brain the same question about their own laugh. It's like dancing while staring at yourself in a mirror the whole time, fixing your posture. You never miss a step. You also never once feel the music. By the way, you just checked whether your last laugh was too loud while watching a video, alone. I saw you do it. I made you do it. And once you're watching yourself that closely, you start seeing things in other people you can't unsee. There's a mental tool called theory of mind, guessing what's going on behind someone's face. Yours doesn't guess. Yours reads the backstage of every interaction. Nobody sold you a ticket, you just broke in. A coworker brings you a coffee and compliments your work. A normal person says, "Thank you." You open an audit. What do they want? What's the ask? Why today? It's a coffee, not a hostage negotiation. Probably. See, I did it again. I physically cannot stop. Because you've noticed things. That kindness sometimes has a price tag. That an apology is sometimes just crowd control. That a confident guy on a date is sometimes just terrified you'll leave first. You're not bitter. You don't hate people. But you lost something quiet. The ability to just believe the surface. And that's a strange kind of lonely. Standing in a full room, seeing a layer nobody else in it can see. But it gets heavier, because you don't just see the layer, you feel it. For most people, empathy is a feature they switch on when a friend cries. For you, it's the entire operating system. You walk into a meeting, nobody said a word, but you feel the cold front between two coworkers like a change in air pressure. That's cognitive empathy, understanding what someone feels. Useful. Yours doesn't stop there. It crosses into emotional empathy. You don't just understand the feeling, you catch it. Like a cold. Part of the wiring is your mirror neurons, cells that light up when you watch someone feel something as if it were happening to you. In you, they don't flicker, they soak. Someone taps a nervous foot next to you on the bus, and now your heart is racing. You're taking emotional damage from a stranger's shoe. So you've become everyone's free therapist. Your rate, $0 an hour. Somehow, you tip them, and they love you for it. But nobody notices the price. The person who understands everyone is usually the one nobody remembers to ask about. That one wasn't a joke. And all that feeling you absorbed doesn't just evaporate, it goes somewhere. It goes into your body. This is the one I asked you to stay for. There's a sense you don't have a name for. Interoception. The ability to feel what's happening inside your body. It's run by a region called the insular cortex. Yours is turned up to 11. You drink one coffee. Your heart beats a little faster. That's caffeine, doing the one thing caffeine is famous for. But I feel that heartbeat. I check my files I wrote, files with no sources, and I scream, "Fast heartbeat, danger, brace!" And that kicks off my masterpiece. I panic, so I dump stress hormones, cortisol, into your system, which makes your heart beat faster, which I then take as proof I was right. I am the arsonist, and the fire alarm. I start the fire, then I take full credit for detecting it, round and round, all day. That's why you're exhausted on a day you did nothing. You weren't resting, you were bracing. I ran a full national emergency over an oat milk latte. And when the body won't stop screaming, the mind reaches for one last brilliant idea. Control. Somewhere along the way, you made a quiet deal with yourself. If I can see it coming, it can't destroy me. So I run simulations for you, non-stop. What if they pull away? What if this all disappears tomorrow? What if? Psychology calls the dead end analysis paralysis, frozen in a maze of imaginary futures. But here's the math you never checked. You now experience every disaster at the maybe stage. 10 tragedies suffered in advance. 0 occurred. That's not protection. That's paying for insurance with your actual life. You stopped living your life and started managing it, like a high-risk project, with one very burnt-out employee. Okay, roast's over. Here's the honest part, and I'm only saying it once, so listen. The goal was never to make you less aware. Asking you to notice less is like asking someone with perfect eyesight to go blurry. We're not doing that. The shift is simpler. You learn to notice things without absorbing them. 3 rules do most of the work. 1. Not every silence is a message. Someone replies slow, they're tired, or driving, or eating. People eat. It is almost never a coded verdict on your worth. Stop auto-casting yourself as the reason. 2. Not every feeling needs a case file. Anxiety shows up, instead of interrogating it, you name it. Heart's beating fast. That's a sensation. It'll pass. You watch it go by instead of chasing it. Court is closed today. 3. Not everything you notice is yours to fix. You can see someone's insecurity clearly and still not appoint yourself their unpaid therapist. You can feel a room's tension and let it stay the room's. Clarity is only a gift when it comes with offense. This is mine to hold. That belongs to the world. When you practice that, something quiet happens. The awareness doesn't disappear. It softens. You still see deep. You still feel the room. You're just not dragged under by it anymore. You go from using me to predict to using me to be here. Instead of scanning whether that smile was fake, you just enjoy the coffee and the sun on the table. I can't turn off the light in your head, but together we can change it, from a hard laser that exposes every flaw into a warm candle, bright enough to understand people, gentle enough to finally warm you. So, which of the 5 is most you? Comment a number, 1 to 5. Yes, you'll rewrite that comment 3 times before posting. Yes, I'll be the reason. Post it anyway. I read them all. And subscribe. Look, you're going to lie awake tonight replaying something either way. Might as well be whether you subscribed. I'm your brain. Thanks for finally listening. I'll keep it down tonight. No, I won't.